Introduction to Decorators in TypeScript. Introduction to Decorators. Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at decorators in TypeScript. Decorators are a powerful feature that allows you to modify and enhance class declaration and members. Decorators are a form of metaprogramming. It's essentially a way to annotate or modify your code at design time. We use them to add additional behaviors or transform classes and properties without altering the actual code base. This feature, borrowed from other languages like Python, is part of an experimental feature set in TypeScript and could significantly simplify your development process by abstracting reusable logic. Enabling decorators in TypeScript. In order to start using decorators in TypeScript, you first need to enable them in your compiler options. This is done by setting experimental decorators to true in your tsconfig.json file. Here is a tsconfig.json snippet of how that shows how you do it. So by setting this to true, it alerts the TypeScript compiler that we will be using the experimental decorator syntax, and the target needs to be set to ES5 or higher because decorators leverage capabilities that are part of ES5 and above. Types of decorators. So in TypeScript, there are several types of decorators, each serving different purposes. First is class decorator, second is method decorators, third is property and accessor decorators, fourth is parameter decorators. Class decorators are applied to the constructor of the class and can be used to modify or replace the class definition. Method decorators can be applied to method declarations and can modify or replace method definitions. Property decorators are used with class properties and can modify the behavior of the property, such as making a property read-only. And accessor decorators apply to accessor methods, providing a way to intercept and modify getters and setters. And lastly, parameter decorators allow you to annotate or modify the behavior of parameters in method calls. So each type of decorator gives us a unique hook into the life cycle of class elements. Therefore, it enables fine-grained control over our code. Here is an example of class decorator. We can see that we have greeter class, and we have this decorator, which is applied to class constructor. So it modifies the class definition by calling object seal. And here is an example of method decorator. We have greeter class, and we have enumerable decorator, which accepts Boolean value. And upon accepting Boolean value, we would have return function that would receive target, property key, descriptor, and then set descriptor dot enumerable to value. So we are applying this to this greet method declaration. Creating a simple decorator. So we looked at some examples before. Let's look at another example. So decorator in TypeScript is just a function that takes the constructor of the class as its only parameter. So here's an example where we log the name of the class when it's being used. So we have my class, and we're logging this class by using decorator, and it's gonna log class created. So you can, what happens is you're applying this decorator by prefixing uh, the class declaration with @log class, and this will output the class name to the console whenever a new instance is created. So this example is particularly useful for debugging and tracking class utilization in complex applications. Decorator factories. Decorator factory is a way to create a decorator that can be customized when it's applied to a declaration. Instead of writing a decorator that only performs a fixed task, a decorator factory, what it does is returns a decorator function configured to your specifications. So here's an example where we can specify what behavior to log. So we have this log behavior. It's receiving behavior as that is string, and it's returning a function, and it's gonna console log constructor name, and it's gonna say behavior. So this flexibility allows you to create more dynamic and reusable decorators. Composing decorators. So decorators can be stacked or composed together. So when multiple decorators are applied to a declaration, their evaluation is straightforward. They are applied from bottom to top and executed in reverse order. So for instance, in this example, the validate decorator will execute before the log decorator. And this order allows decorators to build on each other, creating a layered approach to adding functionality. So decorators can be extremely useful in real-world applications. And here is one example. Decorators can automatically log method calls, including parameters, and this can be really helpful with traceability and debugging. So we have this log method. It's just logging this multiply method. And here's another example of validating data. So you can validate input or state before method execution, ensuring your classes always work with clean data. So you can see that we are using require decorator in our input parameters, street, city, zip code, and then this is checking if it's an array or else. Here's the last example, which is monitoring performance. So by adding like timing logic around method call, decorators can help monitor performance and find bottlenecks. You can see quicksort is a method, and this measure will get the start time, and it's gonna start the original method and then get the finish time and do subtraction between finish and start to see how long it took for this quicksort to execute. Limitations and considerations. So we looked at decorators, and decorators offer powerful capabilities, but they come with their own set of limitations. So being an experimental feature, they could change if JavaScript engines or future version of TypeScript change their implementation, and decorators can introduce a performance overhead due to additional processing. So you want to use this more judiciously. And lastly, not all JavaScript environments support decorators, especially the environment prior to ES5. So you want to consider this when designing cross-platform applications. Conclusion, so decorators in TypeScript offer a robust toolkit for enhancing and managing your code. Decorators allow for cleaner, more expressive, and maintainable class definitions. So I highly encourage you to look into decorator documentation and try implementing decorators in your project to understand their potential and utility. Another thing that can be really helpful is kind of go through open source TypeScript based project and see how decorators are used. Thank you everyone for listening.